There comes a moment in life when silence no longer feels like strength. It feels heavy. It feels tight. And slowly, it starts to make you smaller. At first, you tell yourself you're being calm, mature, disciplined. You stay quiet to avoid conflict. You stay quiet to keep the peace. You stay quiet because you don't want to look emotional. But over time, something shifts. People begin to cross lines they never crossed before. Disrespect starts wearing the mask of jokes. Your boundaries are tested and then ignored. And every time you choose silence, not out of control, but out of fear, a part of your self-respect quietly erodes. Stoicism does not teach blind silence. It does not teach you to disappear so others can feel comfortable. There is a crucial difference between controlled silence and self-betrayal disguised as calm. And today, we're going to expose 6 situations where staying silent does not make you wise. It makes you smaller. 1. Repeated disrespect disguised as jokes. It often starts small. A comment, a joke, a remark that makes you pause, but not enough to respond. You tell yourself it's not worth the energy. You smile, you stay silent, but when disrespect is repeated, it is no longer accidental. It becomes a test. Each joke is a question. How much can I say before he pushes back? And when you remain silent, you answer that question for them. This is not humor, this is boundary testing. Stoicism teaches that tolerance is not virtue when it erases dignity. Marcus Aurelius warned that what you allow in others becomes instruction. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain why it bothered you. The Stoic response is simple. You either name it calmly or you withdraw your presence. Because what you tolerate in silence does not disappear. It becomes permission. 2. When your boundaries are ignored. Again and again, you were clear the first time, calm, direct. You said what was acceptable and what was not. They nodded. They apologized. They promised to remember. Then they did it again. This is where many people make the same mistake. They explain more. They repeat themselves. They stay silent, hoping clarity will eventually be respected. It won't. In Stoic philosophy, a boundary is not a request. It is a standard. And when someone repeatedly crosses it, they are not confused. They are deciding that your limits are optional. Silence in this situation doesn't preserve peace. It invalidates your own words. Epictetus was clear. Judge people by patterns, not apologies. The Stoic response is not anger. It is distance. You stop negotiating. You stop reminding. You let behavior meet consequence. Because boundaries that require repetition are not boundaries. They are suggestions. 3. Being blamed for other people's behavior. This one is subtle and dangerous. Someone loses control, raises their voice, crosses a line, and somehow the conversation shifts. You're told you should have been more understanding, more patient, less sensitive. If you stay silent here, something happens quietly. You accept responsibility for behavior that was never yours. Stoicism draws a hard line between control and ownership. You're responsible for your actions, not for managing the emotions of others. When blame is misplaced and you say nothing, you train people to unload their lack of discipline onto you. This is not maturity, it is self-erasure. The Stoic response is restraint without submission. You do not defend yourself. You do not absorb false guilt. You calmly refuse the role you were never meant to play. Because accepting blame that isn't yours teaches others exactly how to treat you. 4. Public humiliation or subtle. Social undermining. Disrespect behind closed doors is one thing. Disrespect in the public is something else entirely. A sarcastic comment in front of others. Being cut off mid-sentence. A joke that lowers you while others are watching. If you stay silent here, the message is not missed. Everyone in the room takes note. Status is shaped publicly. not by what you say later in private, but by what you allow in the moment. Stoicism does not teach you to explode, but it does not teach you to disappear either. Silence in public humiliation is often mistaken for weakness, not calm, not confidence. The Stoic response is controlled presence, a brief correction, a calm pause, or a quiet withdrawal that ends the interaction immediately. No explanations, no emotional display. Because once people learn they can lower you publicly, they will never stop. And respect, once lost in public, is rarely restored in private. 5. When you're expected to sacrifice yourself to keep the peace, you're always the reasonable one, the one who understands, the one who gives in so things don't escalate. At first, it feels noble, mature, even virtuous. But over time, a pattern forms. You are the only one adjusting, the only one swallowing discomfort, the only one paying the emotional cost. Peace that exists only because you erase yourself is not peace. It is compliance. Stoicism never taught self-destruction in the name of harmony. Seneca warned that kindness without limits becomes weakness. When you stay silent here, you send a clear signal. Your needs are negotiable. Everyone else's are not. The Stoic response is simple, but difficult. You say no, or you leave. Not dramatically, not angrily, quietly. Because peace built on self-sacrifice always collapses. And when it does, you are the one left empty. 6. When silence makes you disappear, this is what happens when silence becomes a habit. You don't speak, you don't object, you don't assert your presence. And slowly, people stop checking in, stop asking, stop considering you at all. Not because they hate you, but because you trained them to. Stoicism does not teach invisibility. It teaches selective presence. A Stoic man does not fight for attention, but he also does not allow himself to fade into irrelevance. Silence, when used without standards, turns you into background noise. And the world does not protect what it does not notice. The Stoic response is awareness. You speak when values are violated. You withdraw when respect is gone. You remain silent only when silence serves your dignity. Because presence is value. And when you disappear, so does the respect attached to you. A Stoic man is not loud. He does not argue for attention. He does not explain himself endlessly. But he also does not stay silent when his self-respect is being eroded. Silence is only power when it is chosen from strength, not fear. You don't need to confront everyone. You don't need to react to everything. But you must never confuse calm with submission. There are moments when speaking is not emotional. It is ethical. Moments when saying nothing means teaching people that your dignity is optional. So speak when your values are crossed. Withdraw when respect is gone. And stay silent only when silence protects your standards. Because in Stoicism, peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of self-respect.